A group of hikers gets lost in the woods, only to discover that the trees themselves are alive and whispering their deepest secrets. The sun filtered through the trees as 5 friends, Ayan, Rita, Hamza, Manur, and Daniel, stepped into the entrance of the remote forest known as Shab-e-Kamosh. It was untouched, wild, and hauntingly beautiful. The trip was Rita's idea, a break from city life and a chance to reconnect. They laughed and teased each other as they followed the narrow trail, backpacks full, boots crunching over dried leaves. Birds chirped high above, and the air smelled of damp moss and bark. They were all seasoned hikers, confident and familiar with survival basics. Yet something about this forest felt different. There were no sounds of distant animals, no rustling except from their own movements. The forest had an eerie silence that lingered beneath their banter. A small wooden sign near the trailhead had strange symbols carved into it. They dismissed it as a relic of tribal culture. The forest was watching, waiting. As the sun began to dip below the treetops, Manur pointed out a waterfall she'd seen on a local blog. "It's just a quick detour," she said, and they all followed eagerly. The trail narrowed, then vanished. Thick ferns brushed against their arms, and twisted roots rose like warning signs. After 20 minutes of hiking, the waterfall never appeared, and neither did the original path. Hamza pulled out the GPS from his phone, but it blinked with a blank signal. Compasses spun erratically. The more they tried to retrace their steps, the more the terrain seemed unfamiliar. "We came from this side, right?" Daniel asked, pointing to a fallen tree. But when they turned around, the tree was gone. The trees looked identical, towering like silent sentinels. Night approached fast, and a cool wind began to stir the leaves. With no clear direction, they were utterly lost, and the forest knew it. When darkness took over, they set up a makeshift camp near a clearing. Ayan lit a small fire using twigs and dry leaves. The flame flickered weakly as the cold air thickened. That's when it started, a soft whisper barely audible over the crackling fire. Rita turned her head. Did someone say something? The others looked around, confused. Then the whispers grew louder, overlapping like multiple voices murmuring at once. The sound came from the trees, as though the trunks breathed the words. Mahnur clutched her jacket tighter. "It's the wind," she said, but even she didn't believe it. The voices became clearer. They weren't just sound, they were words, familiar words only the hikers themselves should know. It was like the trees were speaking in hushed tone, repeating phrases from their memories. The forest had no birds, no animals, but it had a voice, and it had chosen to speak. The whispers became name, then confession, then sin. "I know what you did, Hamza," one tree seemed to say, its bark groaning under the weight of a secret. Hamza froze. "Who said that?" he shouted. No one answered. Then another whisper slithered through the leaves. "Rita, he never loved you. He only pitied you." Her face went pale. Manur stepped back, her eyes wide, when a tree behind her whispered, "You still blame yourself for your brother's death." They all stared at each other, accusations in their eyes. The whispers tore into their trust like knives. They were secrets they'd never shared, thoughts buried deep, only known to themselves. The trees spoke them aloud, merciless and cruel. The forest wasn't just alive, it knew them, knew everything, and it was peeling them open like rotting fruit. One by one, it was turning their shame into sound, and sound into madness. Panic struck. They grabbed their bags and began moving, trying to find a way out. But every trail led to the same gnarled tree with red moss hanging like bloody vines. No matter where they turned, it reappeared. The sky remained dark, but time felt frozen. "We've passed this spot 3 times, Daniel whispered. The compass spun, the GPS blinked, and their footsteps echoed in unnatural ways. Manur broke into tears. "It's like the forest is alive," she cried. Hamza marked a tree with his knife. 5 minutes later, they saw the same mark ahead of them again. Paths rearranged themselves, trees shifted. Rita fell, screaming when she saw her own face staring back from the bark of a tree. The forest wasn't letting them go. It was reshaping itself to confuse, trap, and torment. Escape wasn't an option. This was no ordinary wilderness. This was a living maze. Hamza tripped and fell near a thick tree root and saw it pulsing like a living vein. He touched it, and it recoiled, then slithered away into the soil. He screamed and backed up. "These trees aren't just trees," he gasped. "They're feeding off us." Daniel recalled the legends, forest spirits, jinn that lived in trees. They They live on fear, he muttered. That's why they know our secrets. That's why they whisper. The group stood still, heartbeats pounding. The trees moaned now, no longer whispers, but low groans that vibrated through the ground. Roots crept closer, some coiled like snakes, others thudded like drums underground. The air grew thick and heavy. Even breathing felt like swallowing tar. The more frightened they became, the more alive the forest felt. It wasn't hunting them, it was harvesting them, slowly, savoring every drop of fear. The woods were feeding, and they weren't done yet. The voices returned, louder, sharper, echoing directly into their ears. Speak the truth, they hissed. Confess and be free. The trees trembled with urgency. Hamza clutched his head. I lied in court. An innocent man went to jail because of me. The forest hushed, like it was listening. Manure cried out, I wanted my brother to die. He was always the favorite. A chill swept through the clearing, and one of the trees straightened taller. Daniel shouted, I tried to end my life last year. No one noticed. Rita remained silent, trembling. Ayan held her hand. Don't, he whispered. But the trees screamed now, wind howling through them. Speak, they demanded. Your silence feeds us more. The pressure was unbearable. It was as if the air itself would crush them unless they obeyed. Their shame, their guilt, it was the forest's fuel, and it demanded every last drop. Daniel was the first to vanish. They found his backpack lying near the base of a tree, but no sign of him. He said the trees forgave him, Manur whispered. Then he walked into the dark. Next was Hamza, who kept mumbling, I can see her, the girl I lied about. He followed a flickering figure between the trees and never returned. Manur started laughing uncontrollably, hugging the trees like old friends. Rita tried to pull her back, but Manur scratched her face and ran deeper into the woods, chanting, They understand me. They love me. Ayan held Rita tight, shaking. We can't lose ourselves. We have to remember who we are. But the forest whispered, louder than ever, mimicking voices of loved ones, creating hallucinations. Reality blurred. Each step felt like falling into a dream. And the trees, they waited with open arms, calling them home. Bark cracked and peeled. The trees groaned as humanoid faces began to bulge from their trunks. Gnarled branches twisted into clawed limbs. One tree leaned down and its roots surged up, wrapping around Manur's legs, dragging her into the soil. She screamed once, then silence. Ayan fought to hold Rita, but a vine snapped out and grabbed his arm, pulling him into a tree's hollow chest. His cries faded. Rita fell backward, clutching a rock, sobbing. Stop it, please, she whispered. All around her, the forest moved. Leaves shimmered like eyes blinking. Bark groaned like lungs breathing. The trees weren't content with just secrets. They wanted bodies, souls, permanence. They weren't cursed. They were the curse. Their branches formed cages. Their roots became shackles. It was no longer a forest. It was a prison made of guilt and grief, and escape felt like a forgotten dream. Rita, the last remaining, knelt in the soil, heart racing. The forest demanded her truth. She screamed into the silence, I killed my baby. I didn't want to be a mother. The whispering stopped. The wind held its breath. The tree before her trembled, then cracked. From its bark, she saw Daniel's face, eyes peaceful. You're free now, he whispered. Rita realized acceptance wasn't enough. The truth had to be faced, not buried. She stepped forward, placing her hand on the heart of the oldest tree. You don't own me, she said. My past is mine, not yours. The tree roared, shaking violently. Light burst from its core, blinding. And then silence. Morning light pierced through the branches. The forest seemed smaller, less alive. The others were gone, but Rita stood, scarred yet whole. The curse had fed on their fear. But truth, accepted without shame, had broken its teeth. If you enjoyed The Whispering Woods, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling horror stories. Comment below with your darkest secret, if you dare. And remember, sometimes the forest is listening.